Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that haunts more people than failure ever could: regret. You want to know why most people stay broke, miserable, uninspired, and weak? It's not because they're stupid. It's not because they lack talent. It's not even because they had bad parents or grew up in the wrong neighborhood. It's because they love being comfortable. They cling to comfort like it's some kind of trophy. You give them a warm bed, a steady paycheck, some weekend drinks, and a Netflix subscription, and boom, they're sedated, numb, done. Let me tell you something most people are too afraid to say. Comfort is a trap. It's a slow poison. It feels good, but it kills your ambition. You think just because life isn't beating you down every day that you're winning? You think peace and quiet equals success? You're wrong. Real growth never happens when you're comfortable. Comfort is where your potential goes to die. You don't become strong by lifting what's easy. You become strong by lifting what's heavy. And life works the same way. Every single moment you feel stress, pressure, uncertainty, those are the moments you're being forged. You're being built into something more. But if you avoid those moments, if you run back to your comfort zone every time it gets hard, you're not just staying the same, you're getting weaker. Let me give you an example. Think of your life like a fight. You're either training, bleeding, sweating in the gym, preparing for war, or you're sitting on the sidelines watching others become champions. Every time you choose comfort, you're forfeiting the fight. You're tapping out before the bell even rings. And then you wonder why your bank account is empty, your body looks like trash, and your life feels hollow. People say, "But I'm scared. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work?" Good. You're supposed to be scared. That fear, that's the signal. That's the sign you're headed in the right direction. If you're not a little bit scared, you're not pushing hard enough. Growth doesn't come with certainty. It comes with risk, with discomfort, with chaos. That's where power lives. I've seen it over and over. Guys with all the potential in the world too scared to make a move. They've got the ideas, the talent, the resources, but they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to take a punch. So they choose the easy path. They stay in the same job for 10 years, complain about their boss, complain about their salary, scroll their phones, and call it normal life. And then when they hit 40 or 50, they look back and realize they never really lived. They existed. They passed time. They wasted their shot. You need to understand this right now. There is no version of your highest self that lives a soft life. If you want to win, you've got to embrace the discomfort. You've got to crave it. You've got to wake up in the morning hungry for the grind. When everyone else is sleeping in, you're moving. When they're hesitating, you're acting. That's what separates the winners from the average. Decisive action in the face of discomfort. You think success is going to come wrapped in a warm blanket. You think it's going to knock on your door and say, "Here you go, here's wealth, status, confidence, fulfillment." You don't have to do anything uncomfortable. Wake up. Success is ruthless. It only shows up for people who earn it. And you earn it by doing what others won't, by stepping into pain, by choosing the hard path over and over and over again, until the hard path becomes your default setting. That's the difference. It's mindset. While most people avoid stress, I hunt it. I invite it in. Because every time I suffer, every time I grind, every time I feel that discomfort in my bones, I know I'm leveling up. I'm becoming harder to kill. I'm building a mind that doesn't break when life gets hard. And that's the only mind that wins. The truth is, life doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your plans. It cares about your results. And results are born in resistance. The moment you start chasing challenges instead of comfort, your whole life changes. You become sharper, more dangerous, more respected, and most importantly, free. Because comfort might feel good now, but it's expensive later. You'll pay for it in regret, in missed opportunities, in wasted years. But discomfort, that's an investment. You pay now, you suffer now, but you buy yourself a future that's worth living. A future with options, power, purpose, and pride. So don't tell me it's hard. Don't tell me you're tired. Don't tell me you're scared. I don't care, and neither does the world. If you want to be average, make excuses. If you want to be exceptional, embrace pain, use it, channel it. Let it turn you into a weapon. Because the moment you stop running from discomfort and start using it, that's the moment you start winning. And if you're not willing to take that step, to leave your safe little life, to do what's hard, to face what's uncomfortable, then I'll tell you right now, you've already lost. Because there's someone out there who is doing it. Someone who's grinding, pushing, risk, and that someone is going to take the life you could have had because they were willing to suffer for it. You don't escape mediocrity by wishing. You escape by action, ruthless, disciplined, relentless action. Every single day, especially when it's hard, especially when it hurts, especially when it's inconvenient. Because that's the price of greatness. Take the risk or live with the pain of regret. You want to talk about pain? Let's talk about the real pain. Not the pain of failure, not the pain of rejection, not the pain of trying and falling on your face. The real pain is regret. And it doesn't hit you when you're young and full of excuses. It hits you later, when the chances are gone, when the window has closed, and you realize you didn't even try. That's the pain that eats men alive. That's the pain that haunts you. And you can lie to everyone else about why you didn't go after what you wanted. Tell them you were busy. Tell them you didn't have the support. Tell them it wasn't the right time. But deep down, you'll always know the truth. You were scared. You didn't take the risk, and now you get to live with the consequences. And don't think regret is some poetic little sadness you carry. It's brutal. It hits you when you're lying in bed at night, replaying all the things you should have done. It hits you when someone else is living the life you want. It hits you when your body starts slowing down and you realize your time's up. That's when it slams you. That's when it grabs you by the throat and says you wasted your shot. And here's the kicker. Failure doesn't even hurt that much. You try something, it doesn't work. You fall down, maybe people laugh. Maybe you lose some money. Maybe you embarrass yourself for a moment. So what? You get back up. You learn. You come back stronger. That's how winners are built. But regret? You can't come back from. There's no reset button when you're 60 looking back, realizing you never even entered the arena. People walk around afraid of failing, afraid of looking stupid, afraid of what people will say. Are you serious? You're going to sacrifice your entire future because someone might roll their eyes at you, because your family doesn't understand your vision, because your friends want to party and you want to build. Listen, let them talk, let them doubt you, let them stay small. That's their choice. But regret is the price you pay if you let them hold you back. I've seen it over and over. People with ideas, talent and time, but no guts. They think they've got forever. They keep pushing their dreams to someday. Let me tell you something. Someday is a lie. It doesn't exist. The clock is ticking, and the world doesn't care about your intentions. All that matters is what you do, what you build, what you leave behind. If you think staying safe is smart, think again. Playing it safe is the fastest way to ensure you never live. It's the fast track to mediocrity. You think you're avoiding pain by staying in your comfort zone, but what you're actually doing is signing up for a lifetime of wondering what could have been. That's not a life, that's a prison. You want to avoid pain? Then go through it now. Choose the pain of effort, the pain of hustle, the pain of risk, because it's temporary. It leads somewhere. It sharpens you. Regret doesn't do that. Regret just lingers. It stays stuck. It never gives you peace. There's a reason the most successful people in the world took the biggest risk. It's because they understood one thing. They'd rather try and fail than sit back and rot. They'd rather fall chasing something great than coast into nothing. Because even if you fail, at least you know. At least you had the balls to try. At least you faced life head on.
But most people, they won't. They'll watch from the sidelines, criticize, analyze, fantasize, but never act. They'll talk about their dreams like fairy tales, as if they're not real, as if they don't deserve them. And then they'll bury them, year after year, until the only thing they've got left is stories they tell themselves about why it never happened. And let's be real, regret doesn't show up all at once. It builds slowly. You start ignoring the voice inside that tells you to move. You let fear dictate your decision. You convince yourself that stability is more important than impact. You lower your standards. You get comfortable. You survive instead of thrive. And before you know it, your life's passed you by. You've got one shot. One. You think reincarnation's going to give you a second chance. You think you're going to wake up at 90 and suddenly get the energy, drive, and time to go after what you want. No. This is it. Right here. Right now. This is your fight. This is your proving ground. So what are you waiting for? A sign? This is your sign. A guarantee? There is none. If you want safety, go get a routine life with average problems and average pleasures. But if you want freedom, real freedom, the kind that only comes from doing what others won't, then risk is the toll you pay. It's the price of greatness. And if you're too afraid to pay it, then be honest about what you're choosing. You're not choosing peace. You're choosing regret. You're choosing to bury your fire. You're choosing to settle, and no one is coming to save you from that. The truth is brutal,
But it's simple. Risk now or regret forever. People love to say, I'm just average, like it's some badge of humility. No, it's an excuse. It's weakness. Wearing a mask. Nobody is born to be mediocre. You weren't created to live a life of quiet desperation, waking up every day just to exist, just to get by. Mediocrity is a decision. It's not a limitation. It's not your circumstances. It's the daily choice to be less than what you could be. And that choice, that mindset, is what keeps you locked in a life you secretly hate. Let's cut the noise. You're not average. You've just been trained to act like you are. You've been programmed by school, by society, by your weak friends and your even weaker routines, to do just enough, to stay in line, to not want too much, to not push too hard. They tell you to be realist, to play it safe, and so you do. You work some job you don't love, to pay for things you don't need, to impress people you don't even like, and you tell yourself it's normal. Normal? Normal is slavery to comfort. Normal is mediocrity packaged as stability. Normal is dying slowly, while pretending you're fine. That's what average looks like. It's not peace, it's decay, and it's everywhere because it's easy. No one's going to pressure you to be great. No one's going to demand you rise. They're going to encourage you to settle. Because if you rise, if you level up, it exposes them. It makes them uncomfortable. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Greatness is a threat to mediocrity. The second you decide to separate yourself, to train harder, to think bigger, to earn more, to do more, people will try to pull you back. They'll call you arrogant. They'll say you've changed. Of course you've changed. That's the point. You're not supposed to stay the same. You're supposed to grow, to evolve, to become unrecognizable to the person you used to be. But most people never make that choice. They live their entire lives trying not to rock the boat. They take pride in being humble, when in reality, they're scared. Scared to want more. Scared to demand more from themselves. Scared to break free from the system that rewards comfort and punishes ambition. You don't escape mediocrity by accident. It takes violence. A mental war against every soft habit you've developed, every lazy tendency, every excuse you've allowed. You have to become aggressive about your standards, ruthless about your time, unapologetic about your ambition. You have to look at your current life and say this isn't enough, even when everyone else says you should be grateful. You think gratitude and drive can't coexist. You think being thankful means you stop pushing. Wrong. Be grateful for what you have, but be hungrier for what you don't. That's the difference between a winner and someone who watches from the sidelines. The winner is never satisfied. The winner knows he's capable of more and he goes after it. Not next year. Not when it's convenient. Now. The truth is, mediocrity is the path of least resistance. That's why it's so damn crowded. Everyone's looking for shortcuts. Everyone wants the rewards, but no one wants the sacrifice. They want freedom without discipline, wealth without grind, strength without suffering. It doesn't work like that. You don't get to win if you don't bleed for it. And every time you take the easy way out, every time you avoid the hard thing, you reinforce the habits that keep you average. You want to know how to destroy mediocrity, outwork everyone, outthink everyone, outlast everyone, show up when others quit, stay focused when others get distracted, be the one who doesn't need motivation, because he's got discipline, and most importantly, believe that you deserve more than an average life, because belief is where it starts. If you don't believe you were built for more, you'll never reach for it. You'll make peace with the bare minimum. You'll celebrate mediocrity like it's success. You'll shrink to fit in, instead of growing to stand out. And then one day, you'll wake up older, weaker, bitter, wondering why nothing ever happened for you. You know why? Because you never made the decision. You flirted with success. You read the quotes, watched the videos, maybe even made some plans, but deep down, you were still negotiating with comfort, still keeping one foot in the life you wanted to leave. Still hoping you could keep your softness and still win. You can't. You either go all in, or you get nothing. And most people, they choose nothing, and then lie to themselves to make it sting less. But you, if you've got even 1 ounce of fire left in you, you can flip the switch. Right now, today, you can look in the mirror and say, I'm done being average. I'm done pretending this is enough. I'm done settling, and then go do something about it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, right now. Because that decision, the one where you finally get honest with yourself, where you raise your standards, where you choose discipline over distraction, that's the moment your life begins to change. That's the moment you escape mediocrity. That's the moment you stop surviving and start dominating. But it only happens when you stop tolerating average, in your work, in your body, in your thoughts, in your habit. You hold yourself to a higher standard. Not because anyone's watching, but because you refuse to be another forgettable life.
in a world full of wasted potential. That's how you win, not with luck, not with talent, but with the decision, the violent, relentless decision to never be average again.
You want to win at life, you better stop living like everyone else. Because here's the raw truth most people don't want to hear. Winning requires sacrifice, real sacrifice, not the pretend kind where you work hard for a week, post about your grind on social media, and then collapse back into laziness. I'm talking about cutting out every distraction, every excuse, every dead weight that keeps you from reaching your peak. I'm talking about choosing discipline over dopamine, choosing mission over comfort, choosing focus over fun every single time everyone says they want success, but almost no one is willing to pay for it. And make no mistake, success has a price. And it doesn't take money. It takes your habits, your comfort, your free time. It takes you becoming someone entirely different than the version of yourself that's been sleepwalking through life. If you're not willing to become someone new, someone sharper, harder, more disciplined, then don't expect your life to change. It won't. You see, people think the enemy is the world. They blame the system, the economy, the government, the algorithm. They point fingers at everyone but themselves. But the real enemy isn't out there. It's in your habits. It's the way you spend your time. It's the way you waste your mornings. It's the way you give in to every urge. It's the weakness you let run your day again and again and again, and then wonder why you're stuck. You can't win with loser habits. You can't build a life of excellence on a foundation of laziness, procrastination, distraction, and softness. That's what most people are doing, trying to build empires with peasant routines. It doesn't work. You can't fake discipline. You either live it or you don't. Winners wake up with a purpose. Every move is intentional. They don't leave it to chance. They don't hope for motivation to strike. They build systems. They build habits. They treat their time like it's life and death, because it is. Every hour you waste is an hour you never get back. Every minute you spend scrolling, binging, daydreaming, that's another minute your competitor is moving ahead. That's another minute your future self is screaming at you for throwing away. And don't give me this nonsense about balance. Balance is for people who've already made it. If you're still broke, still weak, still unknown, what exactly are you balancing? You haven't earned the right to slow down. You're not in a position to relax. You're at war, and every moment you choose ease over effort. You're losing ground. You've got to train your mind to go beyond what's comfortable. You've got to build discipline so ruthless it scares your old self. That's the real edge. Not motivation, not talent, but discipline. The kind of discipline that makes you show up when no one's watching. The kind of discipline that doesn't flinch when it's raining, when you're tired, when it's late. The kind of discipline that becomes your identity so that skipping the grind doesn't even feel like an option anymore. But you don't build that discipline overnight. It starts with small decisions. It starts when you stop negotiating with weakness. When you wake up and say, I don't care how I feel, I do what needs to be done. That's where the shift begins. That's where the new you is born. You need to live like your life depends on it, because it does. Your freedom, your confidence, your power, all of it comes from what you build. And what you build is built in your habits. Daily, repeatedly, unapologetically. You can't afford to waste time. You can't afford to keep putting things off. The clock is ticking whether you move or not. The difference is, some people are running with it, and others are sleeping through it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. If you don't have it, you stay stuck. You stay dreaming. And dreams without discipline are just fantasies. The world's full of dreamers. But winners, they've bled for their goals. They've sacrificed comfort, sacrificed fun, sacrificed sleep, friends, comfort food, all of it. Because they knew that discipline now means freedom later. And let's talk about freedom, because that's what this is really about. People think freedom is doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not freedom, that's slavery to your emotions. Real freedom is having the power to choose what's best, even when it's hard. Real freedom is being in control of your mind, your body, your destiny, because you trained yourself to act with discipline, not emotion. Real freedom is walking into any room, any situation, and knowing you've built yourself to dominate it. Not hope, not beg, but dominate. That kind of power, it doesn't come from wishing. It comes from waking up early, from skipping the parties, from doing the hard thing every day, even when it sucks, especially when it sucks. That's where the edge is. That's where the growth is. That's where the weak version of you dies, and the winner is born. So no, it's not about balance. It's about commitment. Ruthless, relentless commitment to becoming who you were born to be. And the only way you do that is by building a life around discipline, not around comfort, not around feelings, around purpose. And once that becomes who you are, once your habits reflect your ambition, then you become dangerous. Then you become someone who can't be stopped. Not by excuses, not by distractions, not by failure, because your discipline becomes your armor, your shield, your weapon. That's how you win. Take the risk or live with the pain of regret. Winning at life isn't about luck. It isn't about being born rich or having connections or some perfect timing where everything magically lines up for you. That's a fairy tale. Real life doesn't work like that. Winning is war. It's strategy, execution, discipline, and resilience. And most importantly, it's about becoming the kind of person who's built to win. Not temporarily, not by chance, but permanently, relentlessly, over and over again. You've got to build yourself like a machine, a weapon, a system so powerful that no matter the circumstances, recession, betrayal, injury, loss, you still push through. Because winners don't rely on comfort. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. They rely on structure. They rely on the identity they've forged through pain and repetition. Because that's what it takes. If you want to win at life, you need to make it non-negotiable. Most people don't get this. They think winning is a moment, a trophy, a viral post, a bank alert, a number on a screen, but it's not. Winning is a lifestyle. It's not something you do once. It's something you become. It's forged in the day-to-day decisions when nobody is watching. It's built in silence and it shows up when it matters. That's why most people never touch it. Because they can't stick around long enough to see the results. They want fast, easy, comfortable. They want praise after a week of trying. They want validation for minimum effort. They want to feel like a champion without bleeding for it. And that mindset alone disqualifies them from ever being a real winner. Because to win at life, you have to be obsessed with the long game, with putting in the work no one sees, just to reap the results everyone else dreams about. You want to win? Then you better be ready to do what others won't. You better be ready to train harder, study deeper, work longer, think sharper. You better be ready to sacrifice, not just once, but constantly. You better be ready to lose some friends, get judged, be misunderstood, and still keep moving. Because that's the cost. You don't get to win for free. And here's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. The ones who win take full ownership of everything. Their time, their habits, their environment, their decisions. No more blaming the past. No more pointing at others. No more victim mindset. You either take control or you stay where you are. That's the deal. Nobody's coming to make you win. No coach, no mentor, no rich relative. It's on you. All of it. Your life, your health, your bank account, your mindset, your future. That's your job. Your responsibility. And if you don't take it seriously, life will take it from you. Time will pass, and someone who wanted it more, someone who worked harder, someone who didn't fold when it got hard, they'll take your spot. That's how it works. Winning at life means getting strategic, ruthless with your time, obsessed with your routine, focused on your circle. You start cutting the dead weight, the people who drain you, the habits that slow you down, the distractions that break your momentum. You create an environment where excellence is the only standard, where discipline is an option, where every single thing in your day is either helping you rise or holding you back. And if it's not helping, it's gone. You stop making excuses. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't get it. You stop chasing pleasure and start chasing purpose. You start waking up with clarity, with fire, with direction, not just existing, but dominating. Every day is an opportunity to move forward, to get stronger, to become smarter, faster, harder to kill. That's how winners think. That's how they live. They don't whine about setbacks. They don't cry over being tired. They don't need someone to pat them on the back every 5 minutes. They're locked in, laser focused, and that focus makes them dangerous. Because while the rest of the world is distracted, chasing girls, gossip, entertainment, fake dopamine hits, the winner is stacking skills, building networks, accumulating power, expanding his mind, sharpening his instincts. He's getting better while others are just getting older. And here's the beautiful part. This path is available to anyone. You don't need a certain background. You don't need to be born into it. You just need to decide. You need to make the call. I'm done playing small. I'm done wasting time. I'm done settling. And then follow that up with action. Relentless action. No breaks, no delays, just forward motion. Every day, no matter what. There are no shortcuts here. But the truth is, once you start living like this, once you start operating on a higher frequency, it becomes addictive. Progress becomes addictive. Discipline becomes your peace. Winning becomes your identity. And nothing else feels right anymore. You can't go back to being average because it disgusts you. You can't hang around losers because their energy drains you. You can't waste time because you understand how valuable it is. That's how you know you're on the right path. When losing your edge starts to feel like death. When you don't just want to win, you must win. It's not optional. It's not casual. It's the only thing that makes sense. And that's when the world starts to shift. That's when the momentum kicks in. That's when you become the person others watch, not because you asked for attention, but because you've earned respect. And the best part, you're just getting started. Because winning at life isn't about hitting one goal. It's about becoming unstoppable. It's about building the kind of life that keeps expanding. More freedom, more power, more impact, more influence. You don't just win once. You build a life that wins on every level. And when you live like that, when you move like that, nothing can touch you. Take the risk or live with the pain of regret.